I'm back in The Sims 4. I'm doing something a little bit different today. So I've decided to try and build an AI creation. And actually, I didn't realise how difficult it was because obviously things that can be created in AI just don't work in The Sims. So I've had a try at it, and looking back on it, I think I could have done it a little bit differently. Maybe I could have moved the stairs, things like that, and they could have been indented into the flooring to make the in the picture it was an outdoor kitchen, but I didn't do that. But I think if I'd have brought it forward one step and had the stairs cutting in a little bit, it would have made more sense for the upstairs, but then the downstairs wouldn't have been straight across. So there's no perfect solution, and I've tried to do my best. But yeah, some things maybe I could have changed them a little bit to make it look more like the picture. So I did do a couple of things differently. Like, I didn't try to make it exact. I used 2 doors rather than in the AI picture there was a door with a shelf over it, so it wasn't a used door. I wanted that to be the main door of the build, but then there's like a side entrance. So in this build there's no back door because the back door's at the front, if that makes sense. And then these side steps are where you go around to the garden. So that's my thinking in this. And I also wanted to make this property livable. So I have thought about that, and I thought if I make it livable, you could download it and it's still usable. So in the picture there was an outdoor kitchen, but for me, if I was doing a gameplay, I don't know how you would make it make sense. So instead of doing a kitchen, I made it into an undercover garden room where they can do, in my imagination when I was creating it, I thought, right, we've got a flower arranging table. They can use that room as the flower arranging area, and they've got a whole room dedicated to it. So it's like a full-on gardening room. And there's a lot of plant decorations, but there's also this flower arranging section. So maybe if you want your Sims to make money as a flower arranger, it's very specific, but this build would be perfect for them. It's also probably more geared up to an older Sim couple. My thinking behind it, because it was like a cute country cottage, but you could change the interior decor if you wanted. And because the outside was taking me so long, I nearly didn't do the interior decoration. I was just going to do the exterior, but I did end up going for a kind of a kind of theme for the inside. So it's more oldie worldy, and then apart from the kids' room, because I've done like, I think if you're a grandparent, you have a room for if your grandchildren stay over. So I've gone for that kind of theme. I don't know. Once I'm on a track, that's where I go with it. That's where I went with this. So I got there with the colour. I think the colour's pretty much spot on. And I don't know why it took me so long doing this little trim and then realising the terrain needed to be correctly. It was on a slant, the terrain, so that's why it looks so awkward, and I don't know why it took me so long to realise that, but it did. So I had to adjust the terrain just to make the trims all one height, and then I made just a little planter area for this side bit just to give it a bit of detail at the side. Although the back's completely flat, I've got to admit the back has not had much detail, but I think it was because it was taking me so long to get this front bit right. So yeah, the back suffered. But if you do want to download it, you could add a door at the back and change the front, or there's a few things you could do with it. And this is what I came up with when I was trying to create it. There's a couple of things I do like in this build, and yeah, we'll go through them as we go along. So this upstairs area is one of the main things that is why I wanted to create this build, because it's just something so different. And I know there wasn't a fence fully along. There was only like a side bit of a fence. So if you really want to go exact to the build, then you wouldn't have put that fence there. But to me, it just looked like a health and safety hazard, so I didn't want to leave it like that, which is why I put a fence on it. Also, I was struggling with, in the image, the like over the window decoration was just so high up, and I don't want to build something that just looks intentionally wrong. So I put it in a place that I thought looked a bit more realistic. I've tried to build it, but then try to put my own spin on it, if that makes sense. And I was thinking, if the build's going to be usable, it has to make sense for the Sims. So, but then I've tried to stick to it as accurately as possible as well, whilst making it be a livable house. So it was a little bit of a struggle, but what I've come up with is the picture that you saw at the beginning. So hopefully you kind of like the end result anyway. So yeah, I think this front bit looked better once I'd moved the door back, because it was just too far forward and it didn't look quite right. So I think that bit's quite accurate. I do like this little window area, which I know doesn't look exactly like the picture. And the other thing is, I'd say, is I put more windows than the original picture, but again, that was more for if this build's going to be used, rather than trying to be as accurate to the picture as I could have been. So yeah, it's a bit of a balancing act when you're doing an AI picture, because the picture itself was very cute, but it just doesn't make sense. So it's trying to, if you want to be as accurate to the picture, your final result is not going to be as aesthetically pleasing in terms of having really weird window placements. So I wanted it to still be kind of nice to look at, but it was hugely based on the picture. So like I said, the biggest part of this build is the exterior, because I was trying to get this look of the cute cottage. I just think I've maybe done the main part of the build either one section too wide or one section too far forward, because it looks a bit too big. But there's compromises either way because of the stair placement. The stair had to be in line with the front door, and I think whichever way I did it, I would have been compromising. And maybe this kitchen area is like one tile too wide, but and I don't know. I like the overall look, but I'm thinking if you're going for accuracy of the picture, maybe it could have been a little bit narrower, the build as a whole. So yeah, but I love this garden area, because it was something I would never have thought of doing, but I actually love it. And it took me ages to find the pieces I want. I couldn't remember what that table was called. I've not used the flower arranging table for a long time, and I remember using it in community builds actually, because I used to use that in them, but I haven't used it in so long. I haven't really used the treehouse kit either. The treehouse, just never really. It's quite a big object for one, but this build is perfect because I haven't put any kind of computers, gadgets in this one. It's a completely different build to that, so I like a lot of the time I'll put a computer in for the Sims because there's skill building, but I decided to go a different route, so it's very like all the skill there's loads of skill building, but it's different ones than I'd usually use. So you've got the treehouse handiness skill, you've got the flower arranging table, that's its own skill. There's music instruments, so they've got loads of skill building items there, and in fact I've put quite a few in. So there's a violin, a guitar and a piano by the end. I've also put the playing card table, but you can do other things on there now, like jigsaws and stuff. So there's loads of skill building, but not the usual route I go down. I also put a bike in the front because I thought it's very country kind of living. So yeah, I think there's loads of skill building in this one. So it is, especially if you're a game player, this build is quite a good one for not just being, it's not just a pretty home. There's loads of things that your Sims can do in it to learn different skills. So that's one good thing about this one. I think I've also somewhere, did I put one in? I'm pretty sure I might have put a knitting thing in this one as well, but I can't quite remember. But I think I did. I think I did. So yeah, there's so much in this property, which is why it took ages to build. It took 3 hours real time to build this, which I'm pretty embarrassed to say, because it's not even a huge build, so it just took a long time. There was a lot of moving items, and you'll see this wall this wall actually caused me nightmares, because I wanted them to be able to go up the stairs, and I thought if I put the items on the ground floor level, I think it would have affected the Sims routing. So I've put them on the upper level, and I've tested it out, and Sims can get up and down there, so no problems with that. So I have play tested this build, which I don't always do, and I should, but I don't always do. And yeah, they can use that no problem. So that's one thing you've got to be careful with on stairs. If you decorate at the side of them, they might not be able to use the stairs, so it's something to think about. Yeah, the door as well, I did nearly go for a green door like the original picture, but I just thought they looked too modern, so I went for this. It looks more rustic, and it hasn't got windows in it, but then I've put the window at the side, so you've still got light from that area, because in the original picture I did like the light coming through the door, but I've gone for that rustic picture, so the rustic door with a window. So you've got the light coming through from the house, but also you've got the rustic looking door. So yeah, there was loads of little things that I had to think about, which when you're doing a renovation, you don't have to think about things like that, because you're not trying to match something exactly. And I wouldn't say I did match it exactly, so if that's what I was going for, I failed. But I did try to get it accurate as well. So yeah, like I said, it was a lot of balancing in this one. So yeah, the outside's nearly done. There's a few finishing touches, like edging up the paths and stuff. I did change it to a darker stone because I just thought it looked nicer. The pale stone just didn't seem to fit as I thought it looked a bit too modern, to be honest. So I went for this darker stone, and I think that looks a bit more worn. And yeah, so I did edge the stone as well, so it looks like, like you haven't got this definitive border of green grass, and so I wanted it to look, like it's been there years and it's well worn in. So I just painted around it with the brush setting on the lowest, and then just edging it with some like soil texture, so it looks like it's worn in. But yeah, we'll get into the interior. I promise. I did say the outside took me the longest, but we're getting to the interior. This little bit, I just thought there's a big gap, which I didn't really know what to fill it with. So I thought I'll put some seating up here where there's maybe a flower display. If she's a flower person, she's put one of her displays on the table anyway. And then I used a couple of different rugs just to create a patterned rug. But yeah, that area is pretty much finished. It was just adding a few light decorations and giving it a bit of, I think it's got loads of personality actually, but yeah, just giving it the right ambience as well. And then the house, I did not clutter the kitchen, which I'm really gutted about. I kind of run out of time because I'd spent so long doing the exterior. So I did run out of time a bit. I had like dinners to do and stuff. So I'm a bit mad with myself for not cluttering the kitchen, because I'd even put shelves in there. And again, it's just one of those things. I think with Sims builds, there's always something you think, oh, I could have done that better. It's just one of those things, but it did irk me a little bit when I was taking the screenshots, and I was like, oh, It just looks really plain. So that's one of the things I didn't like. The garden room, the landscaping, I do love all of that. I actually love the front view of the cottage, but yeah, the kitchen, not my favourite. It's just not my favourite. So yeah, I don't know what I was doing there. I think I was trying to change the countertops to make them. I know what it was. I was looking from the front and I was like, oh, can you even see that kitchen? Because it's quite pale. So I was trying to make it stand out from the front view so you'd see it like in the original picture. But I thought it. I think the original picture, the kitchen was like a brown colour, but a pale one. And all the ones we've got are kind of modern looking. And I really wanted to keep this country chic feel with all the things that I was adding to it. So the choice, especially with that cabinet that I did choose, the colours are quite limited. I would like a few more colour options, and also some, even if we just got new worktops to go with those colours. So keep all the colours, but then add a wooden swatch to the worktops, because I don't always want, like, a lot of country kitchens I think have got the wooden worktops, and I know I've said it in a previous video, but I would really like some wooden worktop options. The fireplace, I haven't used this one hardly ever, only when it first came out, but I just thought this was the best fitting fireplace for the build, but I didn't want that big bulky fireplace in the living room, so I created this hole in the wall, but then put the fireplace outside and then built like a fireplace surround with a vent for the smoke to go out. And I did colour the walls similar to the fireplace so it merges in, but you could also have a feature like this. When I was trying out different swatches, I actually think some of the swatches would go nicely with a different coloured wall, but I wanted it to merge in. And I think this is a great way of doing a fireplace, actually. I wish the fireplaces worked like the wardrobes, so you could still use them if they're at the other side of the wall and you can still see everything. So I wish they worked like that, but I don't know if they've got a different type of code or something, but they just don't work like that. So this is just something I came up with. It for this fireplace anyway. It works really well because it's very, very bulky. I think the fireplaces could do with looking at, because they're slightly oversized for the rest of the items that we've got in the Sims. I think they could have been about a third smaller because they're so deep. I just think they need to be made a little bit slimmer, or less depth to them, and then they would fit with the rest of the furniture. But the fireplaces are so bulky, so unless you've got a huge room, it's hard to fit a fireplace in a lot of the rooms. So yeah, I don't even know if anybody even agrees with that, but it is something I've thought about, because a lot of the I don't use fireplaces that often unless I'm making a really big build, which I don't always have the time for big builds. Yeah, so I do think this living room looks really rustic though, and I like it just reminds me of going to a grandparent's house, and yeah, they'd be set up like this. And also, this is probably quite a British looking living room, because a few British homes you'll go in, the living room you'll walk in straight from the street and you'll be in the living room with the staircase, or they've been opened up, because originally you would have had a really tight, slim hallway. So it's probably very British, this room. And then I've just put a bit of clutter under the staircase, because of the room layout, you can't really use that space, otherwise where would you put the chairs? So I think it's really like it's got that vibe of you're going round to your grandparents. It's very cozy. And the kitchen, like I say, it's not my favourite. I do love that sink though. It's probably one of my favourites. I just love that. Yeah, that's one of my favourite sinks in the game. And then I've gone for like an old-fashioned stove. So they've got some old but strong appliances that they're keeping. The layout of this room I did find a bit hard because there was the 2 rooms, and I nearly didn't put the second door in because I thought it's got a door to the outside anyway. You could use that room completely separately. But because I made it a hobby room, I thought they need access to it from the house. So it depends how you want to use this build. You could even, actually, with the new Sims 4 for rent kit, you could actually make it into a whole little lodging thing. So you could use that as a separate lot and have it as a tiny home for a lodger. I mean, it would be very tiny, but I suppose you could extend out the back slightly. I don't know how many tiles it is, but yeah, because the actual items in there, because it's a hobby room, they don't fill the whole room up, to be honest. So I think you could change it and make it into, so the kitchen would be a better layout then, and you could have it blocked off so you don't have the 2 doors, and then you could have a separate lot. It depends if you'd want to do it like that, but it's another option anyway. Don't know why I keep coming back to this gardening room. I was obsessed with decorating this. I kept adding more and more items, but yeah, it was worth it because I loved that room. I love it. That was the kitchen done. How quick was that? But it didn't get cluttered, so I'm a bit annoyed about that, but it's what it is. This is the main bedroom of the house. I think it's quite oldie wildy. This wasn't in the original picture, but that hallway is so dark, so I did add that just to brighten it up, although it doesn't even put that much light. But then I came back to it later when I was doing the screenshots, and I was like, why didn't I put a door? Because that hallway could lead straight onto the garden room. But that's not in the original picture either, and it was very cluttered around the top of the stairs, so I didn't do that, but I did think about it. Anyway, onto the bathroom, and it's a very country style looking bathroom. The only thing I was a bit unsure about is the bright yellow, but I think with the tiles, and yeah, it looks very countrified. And then obviously the plumbing objects that I've put in there. I think the bath, in fact, I love these style of baths, and I've stayed in a property that had one, and they're just the nicest baths. So I do actually like them, even though they're a bit more old-fashioned. The shower's got like the old-fashioned tiles and things like that. So bathroom's pretty standard, but I think it fits with the building. And then I've gone with dark wood for the main bedroom. I think I don't think they would have a lot of modern pale beech wood or anything like that. So I've gone with the darker wood, same as the kitchen really. And I think that suits the style of the property. I've also gone for like the sepia tone pictures. I think if I was imagining an old couple, I think they'd have a couple of the real old pictures out. So I think they go with that kind of theme as well. And then I made a bit of like a bookshelf unit. So, because, yeah, as I said, I didn't want to go for like modern technology. So there's like a bit of an old-fashioned TV and then the bookshelves. So again, they've got a skill builder, and I did test it out, and the Sims could watch TV from the bed. So the funny thing was, like, I was watching them watch it, and they look at the TV and then they look out the window, and it's like they're not really watching it. But I suppose that's like real life, because most people are on their phones while they've got the TV on. So that was quite funny. The kids' bedroom, this is probably the only modern looking room, because I figure they've maybe got new grandchildren, and then they've bought things for the grandchildren. So I've tried to clutter this room up a bit, like they're the grandkids who get spoiled when they go to see the grandparents. But as I say, if you do want to download this build, then you could just change up the items depending on who you want to live there. So as always, my My Sims 4 gallery ID is Simmer Hills if you want to download any of my builds. And if you want to like and share or hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future videos, it's much appreciated. I've got more builds to come. I hope you like this one. It's a little bit different for me. It's not a renovation or a new build. Well, a new build, but based on an AR, is a bit different for me. I am thinking about doing a Planet Zoo video shortly because I've missed playing that, and I really want to create a cute habitat. I'm not decided which animal yet, but I'm gonna have a go at that. Again, I'm still waiting for the mods to come out on City Skylines because I just can't play it without them, unfortunately. I want to have a go at that, and then we've got some good games coming up this year with Life by You. I'm so looking forward to that. So yeah, loads different little things to come that I'm looking forward to getting stuck into some different kind of content. I don't just want to make the same videos over and over again, and The Sims 4's only got so many objects, so I like to mix things up a little bit. I understand if you only want to watch Sims 4, that's absolutely understandable. I like to mix things up with the games, so I just thought I'd bring a few of them to the channel and see if you don't want to watch them, fair enough. But if you are interested in some of those different games that I like playing as well, you might want to catch them as well. So I'm going to round the video up. I hope you've enjoyed this one. A little bit of a quieter tone from me today. I'm absolutely freezing, so I've been for a walk in the icy weather and I'm trying to warm up, so I'm gonna go and get a nice warm lunch and sit in front of the fire for a little bit. But yeah, I hope you're having a nice day and I hope you've enjoyed this. I'll see you in the next video. Take care everyone. Have a good day. Bye.